This Sunday, August 25th, All Elite Wrestling will be presenting its All In event emanating from Wembley Stadium, and in today's video, we will be addressing each match and predicting the outcome of every contest. What is going on, pro wrestling fans? My name is Jose Ramos Jr., and if you're a fan of pro wrestling as much as I am, then make sure you subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all the pro wrestling content that is produced here. That includes my post-show reactions to Raw and SmackDown, the J Area podcast, where I discuss ongoing storylines and major events in pro wrestling, and other fun videos such as this one today. If you're not new to the channel and you've been a fellow subscriber for a while now, you would know that I primarily cover a lot of the WWE's events. Growing up as a wrestling fan, I was more primarily involved in WWE than that of like a Ring of Honor or a TNA Pro Wrestling, but in recent years, All Elite Wrestling has made a case to being one of the more successful promotions in North America. Though that's not without controversy, as they have had their own issues in the past, but still, wrestling is wrestling in my opinion, and I'll take it where I can get it. And with All In this upcoming weekend, I'm excited about this card. I hope you guys are excited about this card, and let's dive right into it with the pre-show, or the 0 hour as they like to call it. It is a mixed tag team match with Tomohiro Ishii and Willow Nightingale versus Stokely Hathaway and Chris Statlander. This is a storyline that has been told over the course of the last few months, ever since the conclusion of the Owen Hart tournament. For me, there's not a lot of heat to it. I think we're building towards that match at All Out. Obviously, the winner of this matchup will determine the stipulation for the two women's match at All Out. Again, Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander. For that reason being, I'm going to go with the baby faces here. I think Willow Nightingale and Ishii take the victory. We're going to go to All Out, where I do suspect probably Statlander to win that match. And if you keep up to date with a lot of the prediction videos that I produce here, you would know I don't really talk about the pre-show matches, as they don't really carry much weight. But being that this has a stipulation at stake for All Out, there's a little bit of continuity there. Why not mention it? Because we're going to talk about it All Out eventually. But now dealing with the main card, and we're going to start off hot here. The AEW Women's World Champion Toni Storm defending her title against Mariah May in what has been a more balanced storytelling in AEW. We saw the beginning of their relationship and their friendship as Mariah May and Toni Storm became close, almost like a student and teacher type of role, the mentor and the protege. And everyone was suspecting that eventually there would be a heel turn. Would it be Toni Storm? Would it be Mariah May? And it came in the form of Mariah May when she won the Owen Hart tournament, earning this championship opportunity here at All In. Again, what I love about this story is that we gave it pacing, we gave it timing, we gave it enough time to develop and feel natural. So now that we see Mariah May in her natural habitat as a heel against Toni Storm, who has been one of the more entertaining pieces in AEW TV in the last year, I anticipate it to be a fun matchup. I don't think it's going to be match of the night because there's a lot of match of the night qualities here, but I do anticipate to be one of the better women's matches of the year that AEW produces. And being that we have so many championships on the line at All In, what would it be without some title changes? Toni Storm, she's been the champion since Full Gear back in November. I think this is the night that we crown a new Women's World Champion. I think Mariah May wins the world title here, especially given the level of dedication and devotion that they've given to these two characters. I feel like if Mariah May were to lose this match, it kind of derails her momentum and renders the story not pointless, but almost leading to confusion. Why would we lead up to this moment only to have her lose? I love Toni Storm, but I think she's done everything she can for this division and for this title. It's time to shake it up and see what we can do moving forward. I do believe Mariah May wins the title. I think Toni Storm gets a rematch, but I think we're going to see a little title reign here for Mariah May. The next match we will discuss is the American Championship, formerly known as the International Championship, MJF versus Will Ospreay. And this is one of those matches where if I had any reservations or thoughts about not buying All In, what they have done with this match and the segment that they held on Dynamite this week, this is a selling point. I need to see this match. I love the energy that the crowd was bringing for Will Ospreay. I think he and MJF really bounce off of each other real well. It's a clash of styles. It's Will Ospreay, who can be argued took the mantle from MJF as the top star in AEW. For years, MJF was regarded as the top star because of his work not only in the ring, but his character work. But you look at the athleticism and the charisma that Will Ospreay brings to the table, and it's hard not to argue his placement on the card. We know this matchup has already happened. It was 59 minutes, 58 seconds between MJF and Ospreay that resulted in a shocking victory by MJF. But being that it's in Wembley, being that it's in London, I really can't see Will Ospreay losing this match. I think it's going to be a great matchup. This is one of those matches I was referring to that it could potentially be match of the night. I think Will Ospreay wins back the championship. I think MJF goes back to being this natural heel that he is. Will they have a rematch? Probably. You saw MJF take the first one. Ospreay takes the second one. Why not go for the rubber match and have a 2 out of 3 falls type of deal? I think Will Ospreay wins here at All In and is crowned a 2-time American International Champion. So I'm already crowning 2 new champions on this All In card, but let's keep it moving. Let's keep talking about championships. And we have the AEW TBS champion, Mercedes Mone, defending her title against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. The battle of the abbreviation CEO versus DMD, the face of AEW and one of the faces of the women's revolution, really. I look at this match and it's a battle of stars. You want star power, this is the match for you. The X factor in this match, of course, is Mercedes Moné, her heavy, Camille. I think it's going to be, again, a competitive matchup. I don't think it's going to be as heated as the Toni Storm and Mariah May match per se, but I don't see Britt Baker winning the championship. I feel like Mercedes Moné, having just won that championship, there's still a little bit more meat on the bone. There's still a bit more that we can do with the story. I think ideally you would want Britt Baker to win this matchup to continue the story, and because Britt just returned, so you don't want to be able to extinguish her heat early on, I think because of that added element of having Camille at ringside, we're going to see some kind of interference, some kind of heel work that would lead to Moné successfully defending her championship. You know, I mentioned the return of Britt Baker, and I would be remiss to not talk about Jack Perry and how he's returned with this new gimmick, the scapegoat. Ever since what happened at last year's All In, really a full circle moment here, he left, came back, and has established himself as one of the top potential heels in the company as a member of the Elite. He is currently the reigning TNT champion and will be defending that title against Darby Allin, one of the bigger faces that AEW has, and a member of those 4 pillars that they established All Elite Wrestling under. This match is going to be contested under a Coffin rules match. I'm looking forward to it. I love stipulations, especially given something that we haven't seen for quite some time. We saw one at last year's All In. We're seeing one at this year's All In. And I think the outcome of this one will feed into the future. We know that Darby Allin has a championship opportunity, given that he had won the Royal Rampage matchup. I think we can still do more with Jack Perry. And the big indicator for me was that Jack Perry had brought and introduced his own rendition, his own version of the TNT Championship. You mean to tell me that after 1 week, yet he shows and displays this championship for everybody, we're just going to have him lose? I don't know, especially because he did that on his own effort. If you saw the video on social media, you know that he was able to, remove and melt and basically, create his own vision of what this TNT title would look like. I find it hard to believe that we're going to take this title off of him, especially given the results of matches in the future, even later in this card. Again, I think Darby Allin, because he has a championship opportunity coming for the world title, it still protects him. It still protects Jack. I think Jack Perry wins this match. 4 championship matches down. Let's take a break. Let's take a breather from the title gold here, because we do have the All In Casino Gauntlet matchup with Orange Cassidy earning the opportunity to become the first entrant in this matchup. We don't know how many individuals are going to be involved. We only know a few names of the wrestlers that will be involved. Guys like Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, Evil Uno, Mark Briscoe, Hangman Adam Page. We know that those individuals will be involved in this match. This winner will earn a championship opportunity in the future. Now, it's not really determined when they will receive this title match, but I do think, again, it could be an indicator of the future plans, future matchups. We know Darby Allin has a match opportunity. At probably, I believe they said it was AEW Grand Slam. He will be receiving that championship opportunity. This matchup is very intriguing because it's one of those matchups that we don't know who's involved. We don't know when the match is going to end. It's essentially, sudden death rules. You get the pinfall and you win. You win this opportunity. I do think that the winner of this matchup has already been announced. I think in this group of stars that have been advertised, one of those individuals is going to win this matchup. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and cut through the suspense. I think Hangman Adam Page wins this. He's become obsessed with regaining the world title. He's been obsessed with one Swerve Strickland. I think we have a fun matchup where we have a little bit of surprises. I think this is a matchup that caters to the fans and really gives them a little bit of those, cheap pops and those exciting moments that they will remember for an event like All In. But I do think Hangman Adam Page emerges victorious, earning another shot at that world title. So we took our quick break there regarding the championship matches, and funny enough, that would be the only match on this card that wouldn't be necessarily for a championship, but it's for a championship opportunity. And this next matchup is for the FTW Championship, the For the World title, as Chris Jericho would like to proclaim it. He'll be defending his title against the rightful owner of that championship, Hook, and a last chance matchup. If Hook loses this match, he will not be able to challenge for the title so long as Chris Jericho is the champion. This is a story that has been going on since April, since Dynasty, when Hook had lost that title to Chris Jericho. And quite frankly, I think it's a title match that not a lot of people are interested in. I think that the factor that Hook is in it allows fans to become invested into it. But because of the usage of Chris Jericho, a lot of people are very iffy about his presentation on AEW TV. I, of course, have expressed my opinions in the past, where I think the best thing for Chris Jericho is just to take a little break. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's done it in the past. You take a little bit of a break, you recharge, you revamp, maybe even, repackage yourself. Although he has already done that with the learning tree gimmick, and there are some moments where I do find myself liking the gimmick and thinking it works. But for longevity purposes, I don't think it's one that will last for much longer. I do think in this matchup, we will see some interference. The FTW title really has this sense of like a hardcore championship, if you will. And I think because of the presentation and how he has his members outside of the ring, guys like Big Bill, I do believe we will see interference. We haven't seen Samoa Joe. We haven't seen Shibata around Hook for some time now. I think this is where we see them. And I think Hook regains that championship once again, becoming the FTW champion. Now, this matchup is one that I'm certainly looking forward to. It is a 4-way London ladder match for the Trios Championships. We're talking about 4 teams of 3. That's a lot of humanity in one matchup. We obviously have a few tag teams, or trios I should say, that have been announced. We have the Bang Bang Gang, we have the Patriarchy, and we have the House of Black. Based off of what we've seen on AEW TV, I do think that Pac and the team of the Blackpool Combat Club will advance and earn their opportunity in this matchup. It's a ladder match. It's going to be fun. It's going to be chaotic. Without giving away too much, I really would enjoy seeing the Bang Bang Gang regain their titles. That's one criticism I have for AEW, that they stripped the Bang Bang Gang for those championships because Jay White was injured, and they wouldn't allow Juice Robinson to take his place and defend the titles in almost like a freebird rule, if you will. When in the past we've seen, for example, when MJF was the tag team champions with Adam Cole, and Adam Cole was unable to compete, he had Samoa Joe step in and help him defend. I don't understand what the rationale there was, and that's really my biggest complaint here. With that being said, I do not think this is a championship that we will see change hands. I think we'll find a way to have Christian Cage, we'll find a way for Killswitch and Nick Wayne to successfully defend those titles and carry on the tag team reign. And speaking of a tag team reign, we look at the Young Bucks, who have been the AEW World Tag Team Champions for months now, since April. I don't know how I feel about them. I mean, in this moment with the Young Bucks, I'm a fan, but given this new character shift, one could argue, yeah, we're not supposed to like the Young Bucks, but they haven't really defended the titles that often. I, for one, am looking forward to this because of the inclusion of the Young Bucks and FTR. The Acclaimed have been one of the better tag teams in AEW. I do have my reservations about them, though. As for me personally, I'm getting a little bit of stale from them. FTR, I think, is one of the best tag teams there are, but I do think that AEW is lacking a lot in credible tag teams. We have this triple threat, we have this three-way matchup between the three teams, as well as kind of like a callback to last year's All In when we had FTR face off against the Young Bucks. We keep talking about this Wembley moment, and the Acclaimed is a tag team that is keep mentioning that. I don't think FTR wins the tag titles. I think it's time for the Young Bucks to drop the titles. So I'm gonna go with my gut here. I'm gonna pick the Acclaimed. I think they win the tag titles. Let's see what they can do with it. Hopefully it's an entertaining matchup. But in terms of the tag team matchups, I do think that ladder match has way more potential to be, a show stealer. So we'll see how that goes. For the main event, the main reason why I think we all will be watching All In, not only because it's probably going to be the premier event for All Elite Wrestling this year, but being that it could potentially be the culmination of a 25-year career for Bryan Danielson. He will be challenging Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Championship in what I think will be match of the night. Swerve Strickland, we've seen, had some fantastic matches in the past for his title, most recently against Will Ospreay. Bryan Danielson is a wrestling machine, and you saw him proclaim it at AEW Dynamite this past week that although people might be saying it, he'll say it for once that he is the best wrestler in the world, best wrestler of this generation. I'm a big fan of Bryan Danielson, and if you've been following the channel and the lead up to this prediction video, to this All In event, you would know that I was very iffy about my prediction. I had settled on Bryan Danielson winning the championship because I thought there was this chance that we could crown him as the AEW World Champion, putting him in this lineage of champions for All Elite Wrestling. And being that Wrestle Dream is taking place at Washington, in his home state, and he talked about putting over someone from Washington, I thought maybe there was a chance that we could see him lose that championship at Wrestle Dream against the Swerve Strickland, against the Darby Allin. The Darby Allin one is in question, though, I will say, because he already has the championship opportunity that will take place at Grand Slam. And I keep going back and forth. This is the toughest match to call because we know Bryan wants to retire. We know he wants to be with his family, which is an admirable thing and something I think we all can respect. And you look at the presentation of Swerve Strickland and how aggressive he's become and how incensed he's become to not only make this about Bryan, but to take away the moment from Bryan. He says this is all about his retirement, but he very much wants to win this championship match to prove that he is the best wrestler in AEW. There's word that Bryan Danielson's family will be in attendance for this matchup, which only adds more of a layer of confusion, a little bit more of an issue for me to predict. My initial prediction was that Bryan Danielson wins the match. But for the sake of this prediction video, I think I'm going to go Swerve. I think because Bryan family, I think it's because they're going to enjoy his last match. It's going to be a great swan song for Bryan Danielson. We just saw Sting retire as a champion. I don't know if they're going to do the same with Bryan Danielson in terms of a championship run. I'm going to go with Swerve. And as those words leave my mouth, I'm still a little bit conflicted about that choice. But if you remember, I chose Hangman Adam Page to win the match, the Casino Gauntlet, get a championship opportunity. And his beef with Swerve is far from over. I think that's the route they're going to take. But I want to know your guys' opinion regarding All In. Who do you think will win the main event between Swerve and Bryan Danielson? Do you think Bryan wins the match and has a short little title reign? Or is this going to be the culmination of one of the best wrestling careers that we have seen in quite some time? Go ahead and like the video if you enjoyed these predictions. Go ahead and comment down below your thoughts and your predictions on these matches. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all the pro wrestling content that I produce here on this channel. And of course, with that being said, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. Enjoy All In, enjoy pro wrestling, and I'll see you guys next time.